What's up, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today I'm going to show you what went into the making of a vapor trap beat on the Novation Circuit Rhythm. There's a bunch of stuff going on here, a bunch of stuff that you can take away to apply to these styles of music, the Novation Circuit, and hopefully just groove boxes in general. And I'm going to do a full jam of the song at the very end, so be sure to stay tuned for that. So, without any further introduction, let's jump into it. All right, so there are a few different sections to this song, so let's just start with the main one, the one that you heard in the intro, and I'm going to start off with the drums. So I've got an 808. I don't remember exactly where I got this. This is probably either a Ramzoid or a decap sample if I had to guess. The processing is fairly minimal. I've got the high pass filter turned up just a tiny bit to tame a little bit of the lowest sub bass and buy me back just a little bit of headroom. And I've got the distortion turned up a little bit. Gives it that little bit of extra grit, which will really matter once everything is going. I actually started off with a different 808 entirely in a previous iteration of this beat. That one's got a bit more attack to it, so I figured it would be enough on its own, but I ended up not liking how relatively weak it felt in the context of the full mix. So I decided to go for the classic move in trap production of having your separate 808 and kick. So that's why my kick is all the way on the 8th track. A nice punchy, somewhat distorted kick. And the 808 is sidechained to it. So here's the 808 without the sidechaining. Bring in the kick. And that sidechaining is pretty damn intense if I go all the way up over here. That really works for me in this case. To me, it makes both elements punch harder. So that's the kick 808 combo, leaning a bit towards punch with a little bit of grit, and then I've got all those little octave jumps and the pretty basic chord progression on the side of the 808. Up next, super dry clap. Nothing too crazy there. A dinky little hi-hat. Just going ahead through the whole beat. I definitely turned this down over time. I say this a lot, but this is your daily reminder that your hi-hats are always too loud and you should probably turn them down. And if you've already turned them down some more. So right now this is in a nice spot. We've got a bit of a groove going. Let's enhance that with some extra hi-hat sparkle. You also might have noticed that everything up until now has been super dry, no reverb or delay, super upfront in your face. I've got a little bit of reverb on this track. So this is fun. To do hi-hat rolls, I've showed this before, but you go into Gate, select that again to get to the microsteps view, and then you'll see I've got multiple of these selected. And there's also some pitch automation going on throughout this whole section. So I've literally just hit record and then twiddled the pitch knob to get that little descending hi-hat roll. And I'm using the sample flip feature to switch between different hi-hats. I've also done some panning automation on this track to have it bounce around in your headphones, which is kind of fun. That's a super common technique in modern trap music, and the way to get that here is to literally go into your pan window, once again, hit record, and then just move this back and forth. You can watch the way the colors change. So that's basically the ear candy track in terms of the percussion. That does it for the drums. This is a sample from Tetro's Shore pack, and I believe it started life as some sort of Foley, which is pretty cool. And I've done quite a bit to it. First of all, it's sent pretty heavily to the reverb and delay, so let me get rid of that. It's distorted quite a bit as well, so let me get rid of that as well. It's pretty quiet. And the big thing giving it its sound is the low-pass filter, aka high-cut filter. I've got the resonance cranked, and then once again, you're seeing a running theme of automation. I've automated the filter to lower and then slowly raise over time. Because there's no filter envelope on this, unfortunately, but you can fake it by automating it. That's how you get that vowely sound. That's kind of hanging out in the background. The other thing I have done is cut quite a bit of low end to push it in the background and keep it from taking up too much precious headroom. Up next, the ARP. Well, let me show you that in context first. Also, the delay is set to be a ping-ponging stereo delay, and so that's helping add some width to what otherwise would have been a mono element. Super simple little ARP part here. This guy just loops. That's what it does. And the 808 part is what kind of reharmonizes it a bit. Not a whole lot of processing on this one. Once again, just cutting a bit of low end and a bit of high end. And when I do a bit of an arrangement, I'll use the high cut filter to bring it in slowly. Once again, you can hear that ping-ponging delay on there, which adds a lot to an ARP like this. And finally, I love this synth tone here. Let me turn that distortion off. I believe I sampled this directly off of my Microfreak into the rhythm, and you hear a bit of like electrical buzz. That gets covered up by the distortion pretty well. Once again, it's got that reverb and delay, and the distortion really brought this sound to life. Like, it's a nice sound, but once you add that distortion, that really makes it poke out of the mix in a way that I think works. It helps it kind of float over the top. And of course, I'm using the basic EQ controls to really shape it and, once again, keep my mix as uncluttered as possible. Altogether. And I have, of course, sidechained a bunch of this stuff to varying degrees to the kick. So this is fun. At this point, I've got a pretty good vibe going. I was thinking I could definitely turn this into a video. I want people to hear this, and I could use this as an opportunity to show a bunch of cool stuff on the rhythm. How can I take this vaporwave feel farther? And the answer is to resample that whole beat. So I went to sample record, turned on resampling, recorded that into an empty slot, which I'm not going to do right now because I've already done it. And then that's now living on a sample slot. So what I can do now is duplicate that project, mute most of the stuff, bring in the resampled part onto a track, pitch it an octave down so it'll be half speed, and then chop it up. It sounds a little bit messy by itself, but if I unmute that stuff, I don't remember what I did and did not unmute. That works as a really nice B section for this beat. I can switch to this project to really break up the song and add some interest. This is like a little breakdown, essentially. Once again, I've sidechained this resampled, chopped up beat to the 808, and I've sent it to the reverb and delay a bit to add some stereo width and some interest. It's kind of a woozy little section, and I can even go add some phasing. Play around with the effects a bit, really let this section go off into some trippy territory, and then bring us back to the third section. So pretty much everything is the same except for the main lead. And originally I saved it into a different slot just because I couldn't decide which lead I wanted to use for the song, until I realized, of course, that I could just use both at different times, and then I've got, boom, instant variation. But I also have it in a separate project, so I can switch directly to it from this breakdown. And this new lead is just ready to go. So let me show you that by itself real quick. This is also sampled directly from my Microfreak. And this is a sound with quite a bit of modulation to it. It's got this really icy tone to it. Once again, the reverb and delay are helping this stand out and come to life quite a bit. And then I've got just a little bit of distortion. I'll often use this to make stuff just a little bit more present, stand out a little bit, and that worked pretty well here. Everything else is the same as the first section. So all that being said, I am now going to go ahead and try to jam this out live. Hopefully knowing what all the individual elements are and how they interact will help make this all make a bit more sense. So let's do it. If you'd like some more Vapor Trap, this time on the original Novation circuit, you can click or tap up over here. And if you'd like a more from the ground up beginner tutorial on the Circuit Rhythm, you can click or tap down over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit.